and a different type of crimes that people do in the cyberspace. We need to know both of these. What is happening in India? What sort of crimes, cyber crimes, and hacking, and all those things are happening in India? Particularly in the last 1 year, what has happened, and what are the sort of damage cyber attackers try to do, and why this is a very hard problem to handle, because everything is and it's also important. So in the first part of my talk, I will speak about all these type of uh, cyber threats and cyber crimes, and then next we will see where is the role of machine learning, exactly machine learning in our cyber assets. What are the tools? What are the machine learning tools? And then how can we? So this is the outline of my talk. Uh, at any point, if there is a question, you can just ask. Uh, and if any point, if there is a disruption in the presentation, you also let me know, because from here I won't be able to know that. So first I want to talk about cyberspace. I mean, when we say cyberspace, what is cyberspace and what are we trying to protect? So is your laptop a part of cyberspace, or is your mobile phone a part of cyberspace? Is your data a part of cyberspace? What do we want to protect? What are the attackers trying to get from the cyberspace? So first, it is very important to understand that. And then we will see recent cyber attacks and data breaches in particular, and how actually criminals could enable these cyber attacks, how they could get the data, uh, uh, some important data of organizations or your private data, how else get these data. What was the mistake that uh, humans committed? Actually, there must be some weakness that was exploited by the cyber attackers. So we will see what what were the problems, and then ultimately machine intelligence or machine learning, and yeah, uh, machine learning, and in the recent few years, there are a lot of new models of machine learning, deep neural networks, generative AI, and many new models of machine learning used. And we will see some case studies where actually machine learning helps in either cyber protection or cyber attacks. Of the interesting hacks that have happened. Also, we will talk about one very recent phenomena, which is called the digital arrest. And most of you must have read this in the newspaper. And a lot of people lost money. And when I say a lot of people, a lot of elderly people, a lot of professors. So a lot of people who know about all these things, they also lost their money, and because the cyber attackers are always ahead, and therefore how do we protect? And we will see whether they have used AI or we can use AI to protect. Okay, so now we will see that what are the things that are happening in cyberspace. Yeah, so are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right, right. So we will see what is happening in cyberspace and what are the standard techniques for protection of whatever. For example, you can see in that left side, this is the most common application now of cyberspace. After the COVID, you know that most of the things have gone online, all the meetings and these things. And so today's meeting is also online and people across the country have joined. So this is the power of cyberspace. But then what we assume that those who are authorized inside this meeting are able to see, talk and participate, whereas those who are outside, those who have not been granted permission should not be able to participate. This is the standard assumption. And how do we enable this? Uh, so there is a protocol, there is a cryptographic protocol, which is called end-to-end encryption. You can see here E2EE. This is the name of the protocol. And this protocol is quite popular because it's also available in WhatsApp. Guarantees that from your device to the device of the other person, the communication is encrypted, share with the receiver of this communication, and nobody else can interfere in between. Nobody else can get the message or whatever you are talking or whatever data you are exchanging. So this is called the end-to-end encryption. And later, if time permits, we will discuss in technical details about this. But as of now, this is good enough to understand that this communication, the next major set of applications come in the electronic commerce part. And whatever you buy online, whether it be a railway ticket or hotel reservation, or even the top screen is actual photograph of a virtual nikah or virtual marriage. And you can see that cameras and all those things, video camera, and then the uh, person who is going to uh, marry these people are present, and most of the guests are online. And this sort of thing. More than this, you see the right side, that screen, that figure which is below, which is now called cyber robotic surgery. And the surgeon sits at one place and the patient is at the other place, maybe few hundred miles away. And the surgeon is operating the patient over the internet. Okay. And how does he do that? The patient is on a robotic knife, and the surgeon can see on the screen, and he does the operation by moving. You can see that there are knobs which he can move, and so the surgery happens. And the control codes, the codes which are exchanged from the surgeon to the patient's robotic equipment, happens over the internet, over an open channel. And you understand that this sort of communication has to be encrypted, has to be secured, because if somebody uh, unauthorized enters this communication, he can create a lot of damage to the patient. And again, this is controlled using some standard security protocols. One addition that is required for these protocols, that these have to be real time. Obviously, the knife cannot wait for 5 minutes to be used. And therefore, the speed of the communication, or the speed of the encryption, or the speed of decryption has to be real time. That means it has to happen in milliseconds. And therefore, a lot of people who are working in this technical area, they are designing cryptographic algorithms or protocols which are very fast, but they also have to be secure. So there is a trade-off. This field of security or cryptography is called lightweight encryption, in which the cryptographic algorithms are light, they are very fast for such applications, and they also have to be secure as well. So these are some of the applications which are happening in cyberspace. Next is coming to the user, coming to the uh, customer. So you can see that every day we are using our mobile phones to browse lot of data, to buy things, to scan things, sending messages to our friends, uh, trying to read something, trying to listen to music of a particular type. So maybe if somebody is from the Bengal region, his interest will be in the Bengali movies or Bengali music. Somebody from the Punjab region obviously will have a different taste. And this is all happening in the cyberspace. And in addition, we do a lot of transactions. For example, we process our Aadhaar, we do a biometric enablement on your mobile. Many of them do that. In fact, many of the mobiles, and many of the apps, they use biometric as the entry point, as the authentication point, and therefore, a lot of such data is processed either in your device, your mobile phones, or it is sent to the server. If it is sent to the server, then it has to be encrypted. And similarly, for applications like smart transportation, gradually in the next 10 years, we will see a lot of vehicles, a lot of aircrafts. We have drones today without humans control. Next, we will see cars and other bigger vehicles. And all these communication among the devices, these are happening in the open via the internet. The sensors which are taking data, they are sending this data over the internet to a server, which is controlling the car, which is saying that, okay, if there is a crowd, you have to slow down. If there is traffic in the left, you have to turn right. And all these instructions are happening on the open air channel on the internet. And you can imagine if somebody hacks into the system, he can easily cause accidents. So this has to be protected. Uh, in addition, whatever you are browsing, your browsing habits are being monitored either by the state level or by the criminals, online criminals. And they are actually creating you, they are profiling you online. Now, sometimes later, maybe 15-20 minutes later, you will find out what are the implications of these things. So your browsing habits are being collected and they will be used by the criminals. We have some live examples and I will let you know. So the impact of all these online transactions, actually the impact is in the physical space. So if somebody wants to do harm uh, physically, then it is possible by handling, by understanding what you are doing in the cyberspace. So it's not only that your personal data is lost or your sort of bank details are lost or your ID number is lost, but this is the only the online damage, whereas this damage can actually happen in the physical domain, and we will see slightly later. But one point to note is that whatever you do online, using your mobile phone, it is it is being recorded, um, and online profiling is being carried out to understand what you like, what you dislike, and then actually there are attacks like the phishing attack and uh, uh, wishing attack, and therefore they are used by criminals, and we will see do they use it. Yeah. So as I was telling that the impact of cyberspace can be in the physical space, creating damage, and therefore you can see from this figure that this is an actual case in which there was a cyber attack on the gas pipeline in Turkey a few years ago, in which attackers could get control of the codes which are used to transfer gas or petroleum across the pipelines. They are all automated, and uh, they could manipulate it to by increasing the velocity or by increasing the uh, rate at which gas flows to such an extent that they could create a explosion. And we have a number of such cases in the last few years. I will discuss about these. So, like kinetic weapons, like missiles or like guns, uh, we have a concept of cyber weapons, and they can be used for physical damage and destruction. And this is again one area in which cyber attackers are quite active, and whatever critical infrastructure of the country, uh, we will come to that, like railways or power stations or dams or banks. These are the critical national infrastructures, and a lot of state level cyber criminals, they actually target these infrastructures because the damage they can do is much, much more than creating a damage to a single person by stealing his information. So, uh, state level sponsorship happens, and therefore they are able to create more damage like this one. The next slide, you can see that there are a number of cyber attacks which actually happened in different countries, including our countries. And the intensity of these attacks depends upon where it is executed. So you can see that one such attack was launched on the nuclear plant. And you can imagine the type of damage it could have created. And you can see here that the attackers were from North Korea, and they created a malware. They specialize in cyber attacks on SCADA or control systems and control the nuclear reactors. And they could have created a huge damage to our country, but then it was detected in time. We could actually deactivate this attack. So, what are the type of cyber attackers? Maybe somebody who is amateur can try small pranks of hacking into individual systems, but there are professional uh, professional cyber attackers. That means professional teams of 10 or 20 people. And for bigger cyber attacks, which you see these attacks happening on entire state or entire country, for which we have state level actors. There are hundreds of people who are working for a country, and they are active in cyberspace, and they are using the cyberspace as a dimension of warfare, actually. So, in between, sometimes You may have heard that the power grids of some countries like France or Canada, they were shut down automatically, and these were suspected cyber attacks, and these are suspected state level cyber attacks. So, uh, as I discussed in the start, what needs to be protected and what is cyberspace? So, the cyberspace is, it includes the hardware infrastructure. That means your computing system, your laptop, your mobile phone, your communication infrastructure, uh, the software which is there, the operating system is a part of cyberspace. The software, the browser, the uh, email services, the data which is there uh, in your servers or in your laptops or PCs. Actually, that data is also part of cyberspace. That is how you lose your data. And last but not the least, the user, the end user is also a part of the cyberspace. And that is the weakest point, I would say, that that is the weakest point of cyberspace. You can have secured hardware, you can have, as I said, that the protocols and the software can be secured by means of encryption, but the user can be uh, trapped and using phishing and all those things. So, user awareness in cyberspace is very important, and there actually the role of, we will see the role of AI is very important. How to train the users, and at the background, let AI keep on suggesting what to do and what not to do in the cyberspace. So, uh, what are the things we want to protect? Okay, obviously the national information, the military information, the country's political information, the voters' information. These are things at the national level. Whereas in the organization level, lot of crucial corporate information about their trade secrets, about their IPRs. Other type of data which is very important and which normally the cyber attackers tap is the financial data or the medical data or legal information. And I believe that most of you attending are from academia. So, what needs to be protected in the academia? For example, your institute website, your institute employee details, their personal details, which is there in the website, and then the question papers, online question papers, and the online results. It should not be manipulated by cyber attackers. The question papers should not be leaked by cyber attackers, and all these type of information. The marks should not be changed. So, okay, you have prepared the marks of students, and then you have stored those marks, and then a cyber attacker can get those data, and then he can change those data. So all of these things are very important, and the database in which it is stored or the file system in which it is stored, there are ways of protecting and securing these data. Last but not the least is what is very important is your personal data. Any data, so we will talk about what is personal data, what are the laws, and where does it stand, and for how long. So you can see the question here. Any data has to be protected, so it has some time beyond which then security is not required. So uh, things like national assets or medical information need to be protected for 40 years, 50 years. That is the time frame. Then crucial corporate information needs to be protected for maybe 20 years, 10 years. And you know that the uh, a few of these information, for example, the trade secrets like the formula of the Coca-Cola or such trade secrets, or the composition of a drug which some company has invested millions of rupees. All these needs to be protected from uh, cyber attackers. All the IPRs and other things need to be protected. And therefore, for maybe academic information, so okay, one semester of 6 months or 1 year. So the question paper maybe needs to be protected for that duration. And next year, obviously, you get these question papers, sample papers. So the security of this information is for a shorter time. Similarly, for the results and other information. But personal information, if it is leaked, then there is a great damage. For example, what happens if your biometric data is lost? And you may have known that there was a time when a lot of Aadhaar related data got leaked, and a lot of loss was there. So even it was sold in the dark net, and we will see how it happened and who was responsible, and how could we have stopped those cyber crimes. Obviously, we will see that AI has a big role to play. So, as I was talking, that national critical infrastructure, other than the corporate information or the personal information, these sectors, you can see that energy or dams or defense, food and agriculture, water, nuclear reactors, healthcare, government facilities, financial services, banks, commercial facilities, all these national come under the national critical infrastructure. And uh, fortunately or unfortunately, these are now cyber enabled, because enabling it online gives a lot of advantages. But then, so if you and I can access these web pages or websites, and therefore the cyber attacker also tries to get credentials from somewhere and then misuse these facilities. So again, national security of national critical infrastructure is very important, but the security should not be that hard that all these are required in real time. For example, the mm, railway reservation system. A very simple example is the railway reservation system, IRCTC. And so whenever there is a Tatkal booking, there is a huge rush. And you can see that what is the value of time. So even if, for example, if 8 to 9 a.m. is the time for booking Tatkal tickets, and if somebody is able to disrupt that communication, then he can create a lot of damages. Similarly, you see that stock market, everything is online. You can check the prices of stocks or foreign exchange or anything. So can the cyber attacker also do. And if he can create a disruption in the stock market, obviously, lot of millions of dollars or crores of rupees can be lost. Now, as you can see here, the military is also modernizing, and uh, gone are those days when somebody would manually see that there is a intrusion of soldiers and all those things. Now everything you can see here is happening through satellite images and cameras, and all these things are connected, and the soldier or the commander gets a real-time report of what is happening across the border, this part of the border, and then whatever you can see on the other side. But then If I can see, then maybe a cyber attacker can also try to peep in and then use this information for mm, their benefit. So this cyber attacker can mostly will be from the other part of the border. So he can misuse these data, the data which we are trying to get an advantage may be misused. Okay. So now one thing is personal data. So I was talking about protecting personal data. Lot of us do not actually know what is our personal data. So that is the problem, and therefore you will share some sensitive data over WhatsApp or over Facebook. And uh, just to inform you that these servers, the WhatsApp server or the Facebook server, these are not within our country. So it is once you send the data, it goes beyond our control, and therefore then it can be misused. So then you have nothing to say because it is we who have leaked our own data. So yeah. So should I continue? Do you have any questions till now so I can answer? So, is there a provision of you can ask a question? You can put on your mic and ask a question. Uh, uh, I'll continue. So, what is the person? What is your personal data? Personal data is individuals, any character or attribute which leads to your identification. So, any data without your name, if it is there and I can identify you with that data, that is your personal data. And lot of companies, lot of multinationals outside India, in the name of recording your information, they take your personal data, which may be sensitive also. So now we have a data protection bill, which clearly states that what is your sensitive personal data. These data are like passwords or your financial data, your health data, your biometric data, your genetic medical records, uh, caste, creed, religion, political beliefs, or even your affiliations. All these are considered to be sensitive personal data. These are classified as sensitive personal data because this data should not go outside the country. Okay. So for companies who try to collect your data, the law prohibits such cross-border transfer of such information. And because one fine day you will come to know that, okay, that entire website, the entire Yahoo server or the entire Gmail server has been hacked and a lot of your data has gone to the cyber criminals. So once they get your data, then they will misuse this data, they will sell this data, and then you do not have control. So for some data, you can change. For example, if your password has been compromised, there is a way to change your data. But if your biometric data has been compromised, there is no way to replace this data. So you need to be very careful when sharing any data across apps or across sites which send the data to other part of the country or the servers. So now one important thing here is what is called the uh, India Digital Personal Data Protection Act. And this act was, it is the first data protection law of the country. It was published in August 2023, and it is supposed to be enforced this year. And this will be enforced by a government notification yet to happen. And this is applicable to e-commerce or healthcare or technology companies. So if you are buying something online, you need to fill a lot of forms and details. Be careful, you can refuse to do that. Any social media platforms and any financial institutions. Uh, so there is a provision of penalty also. So you can see in the below part of the slide that uh, any company or any organization or any website who is interested to get your data, you should give your consent, and using that personal data only for the purpose it was collected, then it is supposed to delete that data which is no longer needed. Mostly companies want to do that, and therefore there is a risk of getting hacked. And then technical measures for data security and protection. So all your data or all your database should be protected by encryption and by hashing and digital signatures and all those things, so that at least if it is lying in their server, there is a assurance. But what happens if this data gets hacked? So now there is a liability. The penalty may range from 10,000 rupees for a very small damage to 250 crore of rupees for bigger companies who are losing lot of user data. And it depends on the nature of offense, and which is to be decided by Data Protection Board of India. And for every organization, for example, now we have an information security officer or cyber security officer in every organization or university. So after this notification, each of the organization will have a data protection officer, and will find out what is the damage created by losing your data, and then he can go to the court for this penalty from that organization. Okay, so again, as we discussed that there are some type of data, for example, your user ID or your name or anything simpler, that once it is lost, there is an option of uh, replacing it by something else. But you can see here that whenever we store our biometric data, this data, if it is leaked, then this information cannot be replaced. So you won't have, I mean, your fingerprint cannot be changed or your iris cannot be changed. And therefore, protecting this data has to follow a very strict protocol in which different layers of security, who can access this data, and where is the location of this data, and everything has to be strictly controlled. Still, you will find many cases in which cyber attackers are able to get these type of data, and then the damage is not replaceable. So why are cyber crimes on the rise? Uh, Two simple reasons. Uh, as you see that cybercrime is a very lucrative business model. Okay, so you invest 1 rupee and you get 10 rupees. That sort of model, and the cost of cybercrime is more than $6 trillion, and uh, you can imagine this amount is a huge amount. That is why a lot of people are motivated to get into this crime. Another reason is okay, you are getting good money. Another reason is likelihood of detection. As in the case of physical crime, so suppose somebody commits a theft or a robbery or a murder, the likelihood of detection is quite high, and there is a good chance that you will be caught. But likelihood of detection and prosecution of a cyber crime is extremely low, and you can see the statistics. It is 0.05%. One of the reasons is a lot of cyber crimes go undetected. Second is even if that happens, people do not report. The third is lot of cyber crimes are routed through foreign servers, and therefore, even for a country, if your money is lost, then there will be some fake foreign servers which will be used, and therefore you cannot prosecute somebody within the country because the action and the server, all of these are outside the country. And though there is a international protocol of execution, but that never happens, as you can see in many of these cases. So cybercrime is becoming very frequent day by day. Lot of crimes are happening. Lot of money is lost, and therefore we need to be slightly careful. But okay, so now this second part of the talk is a discussion about the recent cybercrime and data breaches. And this will enable us, this will give us information and knowledge of how these cyber crimes happened and what protection we could have taken. And these crimes have happened all across the world in countries which claim that they are technologically the best in the world. There also cyber crimes happen, and uh, in many of the smaller countries, a lot of cyber crimes have happened in our country. And in most of the cases, I would say that normally technology failures are very less in cyber crimes. The starting point is human, in which cyber criminals create some psychological uh, pressure to extract information, and using phishing mails or trying to understand what you like, your priorities, and using those to extract either information or money from you. So uh, let us see what sort of cyber crimes had happened in the last few 1 or 2 years. Okay. So you know that during COVID period, and to be online. So for all meetings, for all official things, people were online. Even the vaccination and other things, health records, everything was online. And you see that this Arogya Setu app was created uh, by the government, and all of us were supposed to download this app and then put our vaccination records here, or take appointments for vaccination. All of these things happened through this app. And then this was a very good opportunity for cyber criminals to create a fake app. And those people who actually did not know the ID, they should have downloaded it from the government website. Anybody who tried to search this app by name and download it got trapped. So as you can see from this slide, one of these is the original app, this one, and the other of this app, getting lot of information, your personal information. And this server of this app was, you can see that it was our neighboring country who was trying to use this cyber space for collecting lot of information. So then this was detected and disabled, but by the time some good amount of data had already been collected. Next, let us see the type of attacks. In between, you must have read in the newspaper that there is a disruption of air services. So in 2022, SpiceJet server was hacked and lot of disruption was there. Then in 23, again, certain airports got hacked, and it always keeps on happening. And the more important part is now this is not just a simple hack getting your data. This is a case of a ransomware attack. And what is a ransomware attack? So in a ransomware attack, the attacker disables your website. You can understand what will happen. IRCTC or banking websites are disabled, and then they will ask for huge sums of money to decrypt the information and get it working. So this has happened in multiple countries, multiple of cases, even our country, India. And you can see that a lot of Aadhaar data was taken out by foreign hackers. And you can see that what is the record which was compromised. So your name, your phone number, maybe your passport number, your Aadhaar number, age, gender, address, etc., etc. So your record contains all these things, and a lot of such data were taken out, and then your Aadhaar number can be, as you know, that it can be misused in banks or many other places. So what was the reason? The reason was that such a huge amount of data which is gathered from different parts of the country, hundreds and hundreds of cities, states, mm, villages. This data is collected by manual devices and third-party applications. So uh, the official report is that while the third parties were getting this information from different zones, the devices in which they transferred this information was not very secure, not very protected. So that was the reason while many such data records were stolen. And though it is a very major disaster for the country. Now, next, coming to the new set of devices. Lot of you, I believe that half of you are wearing a smartwatch. Your smartwatch is a IoT device which is keeping track of lot of your parameters, your health parameters, and obviously you must have fed your location, your name, your weight, age, lot of parameters. Now, these small devices are not always fully protected. We also know of smart homes in which these days lot of people install cameras in their smart homes, either for security purposes, they want to see what is happening around their houses, or there are baby monitors in which the mother, working mother, will try to see how where is the baby, what is the state of health and other things. So the smart cameras are installed in homes, but you can see here that cyber criminals have become very smart, and they are actually getting control of these devices. So the camera that you use to see whether any breach is happening and anybody intrudes in your house, these cyber attackers are smarter enough. They are using this to find out when nobody is there in the house, and when the place is empty, and all of these things. So any IoT devices that works over the internet setting, uh, if you are buying a lower cost IoT device for your home, then please mind that they are using out of date hardware, old hardware, which can be used by cyber attackers to gain control. They will get lot of information. So there have been many thefts by monitoring the smart meter, the power meter in your house. So very simple logic that if your power meter is not consuming electricity, then most of the people or nobody is in the house. So that is the right time for cyber criminals to understand. They will observe for many days. Okay, so if I observe your power meter for 1 month, I'll be able to understand that when all of the people of your house are outside, when only the child is inside, and when only few people are inside. So I can make a plan to uh, intrude your house and do a theft. That is what happened in a number of cases. So how a small device which is being monitored on the internet without proper security can lead to lot of cyber breaches or real breaches. uh, Now there are a lot of health related devices. For example, insulin pumps. Now a lot of people, diabetic people, are using insulin pumps, or a lot of people are using pacemakers, which are actually controlled, and uh, this data is regularly being monitored by a device or a server. So this data can be captured, and you can see in this slide that cyber attackers have hacked into pacemakers or insulin pumps. And how could they do this? Because there was no digital code signing mechanism for these devices, uh, which means that I can replace the code which is available in these devices by my own code, and then I can try to uh, create new attacks. And this is how actually cyber attacks have been working. So some of the more serious breaches, you must have heard that AIMS servers were hacked uh, at least more one times and two times, and then lot of patient data was taken out from there. And it was a case of actually ransomware in which they asked for money. But then, how can a cyber attack happen so that I can create a physical damage? So you can see this case in which hackers poisoned the water treatment plant by changing the uh, level and amount of ammonia and other chemicals. So these are all um, controlled over the internet, in which all these pumps, how much of chemical is to be mixed, what is the type of water which is coming, and what time of the day or night this has to happen. So this is controlled by a system administrator sitting somewhere else, not physically here. And this gives you a lot of flexibility. But on the other side, if that credentials is obtained by a cyber attacker, then this is what can happen. And why did this happen? Because you see that old software was used, and so the system administrator um, uh, used a poor password. For example, say the default password, normally people will use passwords like 1234 or something. I mean, uh, the years, say 2024, 2025, these types, or the name of your child. All these are very common passwords. And maybe given a situation, it is not extremely difficult to predict what password you might have used. And again, there I will show you an example where AI has been used to guess the password. So if I get the name of your family members, which is obviously publicly known, their birth dates, which is again publicly known, your nicknames, and where do you work, I think 70% of the passwords are generated by this data only. And this is how AI is used to predict your passwords very effectively. I will show you the statistics of what they have done. Then, as I was telling you, that for physical damage, actually, cyber attackers could create damage, attack the this power grids, and normally this sort of attack will happen in extreme winters. So, in the US or in Canada or in France, when the temperatures are sub-zero and maybe -10, -15 degrees centigrade, and then actually the cyber attack happens, so that once your power grid is off for a whole night, when the temperature is -20, you can imagine that lot of animals, lot of people will die. And that is how they attack these power grids. More important than that, that hackers also try to breach more sensitive installations like the nuclear plants, and uh, it happened in the US, it happened in India, and therefore, so we cannot say that these are totally protected and beyond the control of cyber attackers. Everything is possible, as you can see. Then this was how recently happened, which is the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack, and a lot of important personal information of employees, senior officials were breached by using compromised password. Again, so a word of caution is the password you use. Normally, you will use a simpler password to remember, but it should not be guessable. If I am able to guess your password, even in 100 attempts, then your password is weak. And you must have come across many of these sites which, while you create your password, they will always say that your password should contain at least 8 characters, out of which some few characters have to be capital, others are small. There should be at least one symbol and 1 or 2 digits. But while creating such a password, it is difficult to remember. You have many passwords for many applications. And then what you do is you write down somewhere, and then that becomes a source of leakage or attack. Again, the solar winds, uh, you must have heard about this attack. And uh, hackers could breach the US government sites, and they could get lot of sensitive data from the US government and US defense. that So this demonstrates that none of the software that we use can be taken for granted that it is very secure. You should be very careful when you use any software on your PC or laptop or your mobile apps. You should not randomly download mobile apps and give permissions while giving permission to a mobile app, actually it gets control of your entire phone book or data. So only those apps which are extremely necessary, you should download through a proper app site. Remaining, what my suggestion is, you recheck your mobile phones and then try to uninstall those apps, whichever is not. Any app, if you have not used it since the last 1 or 2 months, you should uninstall that, and only when it is required, you should reinstall that. So, what hackers could do in this case was to use the software update, or many a times your university server, you need to do a antivirus update, software update, Microsoft update. So they could slip the malicious code into this software, and then they used it as a means for a massive cyber attack against the US government and the sensitive US employees. This is what happened just 1 or 2 years back. Okay. So now coming to what is happening in our country. So I'll describe 1 or 2 specific cases and what happened in 2024. So we are almost at the end of 2024. And in this one full year, what is the sort of cyber breaches happened? So major breaches were ransomware, uh, encrypting some site and asking for money, data breaches and data leakages of mostly of government organizations and educational institutes, and then frauds for money and hacking into websites. These were the major breaches. As you can see here that there are a lot of complaints by which we can understand that what is the statistics. And these complaints are recorded by the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, which is under the MHA, Home Affairs. So you can see that in 2024, there were more than 15 lakh cyber fraud complaints. Imagine. And how much money was lost? At least 16,000 crores of rupees were lost by citizens of this country. The type of cyber frauds were stock trading scams. Somebody is scamming you for giving you good amount of profits from stocks. So that is a scam. Investigation-based scams. You also know that there was a courier scam in which somebody calls you and says that your courier contains drugs and all those things. That sort of scam happened in 2024. A lot of people lost money. And digital arrest frauds. This is one type of cybercrime that I will talk just in the next 10 minutes. And we will see that where is the problem? The problem basically is with the end user. And as the end user, if we are not careful, no amount of technology or no amount of knowledge will help. So surprisingly, in 2024, education and research sectors have been targeted most, which is a surprise because normally cyber attackers try to do things for money. But here you can see that some of our neighbors, some of our neighboring countries are trying to extract our research data, research findings, and that is why it has happened. Then this is followed by the government and military websites or information hacking. Third is critical infrastructure, and then healthcare, financial sector, and personal data. It was also found that substantial increase in cloud data breach happened. So whoever is storing data in the cloud, obviously there is a higher chance of getting hacked. And this happened due to human errors and misconfigurations, system misconfigurations. Then hackers were able to do zero-day exploitations of vulnerabilities which were not patched. So even knowing that uh, there is a weakness in the system, and then one of the very powerful tools is to, yeah. So failure to use multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is a very important tool to protect you, and for all for all serious applications like your banking app or your any app where you use your biometric or any app where you store your data. So there, actually, you should use multi-factor authentication to protect yourself from these attackers. Then there were ransomware attacks for disruption of operations. As I said, that the AIMS server was attacked in ransomware, and data breaches exposing sensitive personal and financial information. And then there were some advanced persistent threats, these type of attacks for high value targets. For example, if you want to target a company, big company, so you need to observe over a long period of time where is the weakness and then use a APT for infiltration. These are the type of attacks we have seen. Some of the examples in 2024, one was this WazirX crypto exchange breach, the cryptocurrency, and all of a sudden, this website which stores cryptocurrency got hacked and a lot of people lost money. The Polycab company, it's a well-known company of electrical wires and other things, and it was hit by a ransomware attack and the site was shut down. BSNL was hacked and a lot of data was stolen. Then the pensioner related portal, which is called Spursh, it was attacked and a lot of data was stolen. Hyundai Motors India, their website was hacked, a lot of data got leaked, and therefore, suppose I am an attacker, so I'll have a lot of information. For example, your name, your model of car, your phone number, mobile number, whether you are taking a loan on that car, banking information, lot of information I can extract and then misuse. And the Indian energy sector, data infiltration. So now I think I do not have much time, but I'll talk about one of the recent cyber attacks, which is called the digital arrest scam, happening quite frequently in bigger cities where people are slightly careless or they are more vulnerable to such attacks. I do not know what is the status in smaller cities or towns, but then you should be careful. Uh, this was an extension of what is called the courier scam. And this courier scam initially happened in smaller cities in which somebody rings you and says that you booked a courier which contains drugs, and therefore to remove you from that case, you have to give money. And that is where the digital arrest scam started. So you can see here that scammers are pretending as law enforcement officials, and you will get a phone call initially saying that there is a false accusation. So, for example, a fraudster will impersonate as a police officer and will accuse you of involvement in money laundering or drug supply. This is an extension of the courier scam, as I told you. And just to frighten you, mm, then they will connect to a higher official who will talk to you on a video call and ask you to lock yourself and isolate from others. And then they will instruct the uh, you to transfer large sums of money to a mule bank account. That means a bank account which has not been used for a long time, or a fake bank account from which they can channel this money to other countries. And this is, though it may seem like a story, but I will show you the statistics so you can understand that a lot of people got affected. Now, these scams involve an element of social engineering, uh, and the fraudsters will create an atmosphere of fear by threatening you with arrest and imprisonment. The victim is usually tracked online, and online behavior is profiled by the scammer. Now, this is something that I told you at the start of my lecture, that the crime does not happen in one day. So, if I want to scam you, I'll try to somewhere track your behavior, online behavior. I'll try to find out what websites you are visiting, what you are reading, uh, where, what are your interests, and this online behavior is profiled by the scammer. And then one day, suppose you are interested in football, so uh, I'll send a fake email with a malware infected file saying that I've got two football tickets from some source which is free, and I would like you to come for that match. Maybe that match is happening in Guwahati. So those who are interested will click, and then what happens? Once you click, your device gets infected. The scammer is able to now monitor what you are reading. Is also able to get your user IDs, and possibly some people store their passwords, or they are able to track your passwords by means of keyboard logger, and therefore he will get a lot of control. Now, for this digital arrest scam, uh, you must be surprised to know that generative AI tools have been used to clone the voice of victims' family members. And therefore, once they trap you, they will also create a audio voice from someone in your family saying that, okay, you don't get trapped with all these things, and you pay them money and पीछा छुड़ाओ इनका और ऐसे करके. So this part they use AI for your online tracking and profiling, and then they use generative AI tools for cloning voices or sending you pictures of your family members, or giving you clues that, okay, to make you believe in things. They also know that what you have purchased or what you have done in the last few days. They will use AI to do that. And to understand this modus operandi, it may be a surprise for you to know that most of these frauds were carried out by people from other countries. These people were not even sitting in India. For example, they are sitting abroad, and what we could track is that these scammers are sitting in Myanmar or Laos or Cambodia or Vietnam. And then word of caution is that few months ago, Indian Express reported that more than 5,000 Indians were trapped in Cambodia because of work. They were trained and forced to carry out cyber frauds back home. So somebody talking in an Indian voice, trying to talk to you, trying to tell you that you should pay money. These people are Indians, but they are not actually sitting in India. They are sitting somewhere else. The intensity of fraud was such that more than 70,000 complaints came in 2024. And it is expected that almost three times of these frauds were not reported. So 2 lakh digital arrest scam frauds. Can you imagine? uh, Across India, this actually happened in this year. So uh, now it's just for those who would like to know this, I'll finish in 5 minutes. So, how to spot such scams? Normally, you do not get disturbed when you get a phone call, such a phone call or a video call. First clue is these scammers use unofficial phone numbers or email addresses. Next is these scammers create a sense of urgency to cause panic कि अभी पैसा transfer कर दो. You send money immediately. So why should I send money immediately? If there is a case, if I have been caught, I can send money, go to the police station and send money next day. And why should I send money? So the third clue is these scammers will tell you not to share the details with family and friends. So the question is why? So if I have committed a crime, why would somebody say not to share? These all things are indication that you have been scammed. And so what are the remedies? Uh, Digital arrest is not a legal concept. There is no rule of which says that you are under digital arrest. No police or law enforcement official will start any legal action via phone or video call. So if there is a legal action against you, you will get a speed post or a physical, somebody will come and inform you, not via phone call or something. But if you fall victim and lose your money, you know that many cases happened in 2024, as I showed you, that more than 70,000 complaints and almost 2 lakh people lost money. So you should call the National Cybercrime Help number 1930-1930, lodge a FIR and report this to a portal which is called Chakshu portal. This is for suspected fraud communication, and you should do all of these things within 24 hours. So there is a chance that if you are able to provide evidence to officials with call details or screenshots or money transfer details, there are certain chances of tracking these scammers and some chances of recovering your money by the agencies. So before ending, I would like to again say that in this talk we have seen a lot of different type of cyber crimes. The weakest point was the human itself. Uh, Standard technological measures like encryption or firewalls or antiviruses are already installed. So the weaker point is human and the psychology that is used to trap humans. For cyber crimes, some of the advanced scammers use AI techniques, for example, generative AI and all those things. For cyber security aspect, maybe more technical sometimes else I will talk, but for cyber security, lot of deep learning techniques are used for intrusion detection or for malware detection or for intelligent firewalling, and models like CNNs or models like RNNs, autoencoders, all these deep learning models are used for intrusion detection in real time. Obviously, there is a need for AI in cybersecurity if the action has to be taken in real time. Humans are not that fast enough to react in real time. And by real time, what I mean is within a few seconds, 2 seconds, or in milliseconds, humans cannot take a decision and react. So, at the background, AI model which has been learning from the internet traffic, from the data for a specific purpose, it is trained, and this training is done every day with the data, and this it gets improved, and at some point of time this AI system is good enough to tell you that this traffic is normal or this traffic is abnormal. The packets that are going out of your laptop or coming from a server, whether this is a normal behavior or a behavior of an attacker. So, lot of research work is happening. New deep learning models are being used, and on the other hand, deep learning models are also being used by the attackers who are using generative AI to create fake videos and fake audio clips, as I told you in that digital arrest case, fake emails, convincing emails based on your profiling. These all are AI tools which the cyber attacker is using for this purpose. So I think with this I will my time is up and I will end my lecture. But uh, obviously, if there is any question, I would like to take it. Yeah.
Audience. Okay, sir, I have one question. What is digital code sign? You have mentioned in slide number 26. Digital code sign.
Digital
Code sign.
slide number 26.
26.
Okay, I just let me. Twenty-six is that solar winds cyber attack. Uh, slide number 26.
6 or 27.
20,
Digital coding side. Like
digital arrest frauds. Uh, so in slides 27, I was talking about digital arrest or maybe
yes,
stock trading scams.
before that slide, actually.
Okay. So I'm not getting it here, but anyway, yeah, eh, I'll answer. So, what is the question?
What is digital code sign? That means, is there any process which can sign my program or software or code?
Right. So suppose I send you a link and say that okay, I require some 1,000 rupees in urgency, and please send. So that is a mail, or it can be a real request, or it can be a phishing mail. So now, what is the proof that I have sent this? What? So I have an identity, and how do you link my identity with that message? So that is one example in which digital code signing is also very important when you upgrade your softwares.
Okay.
Because what is the guarantee that an authorized entity is upgrading, because I can put malware just like in that Orion software hack. The cyber attackers put a malicious update software and they inserted it in the main program.
So somehow, sir, is it similar to digital signature?
Yes, it is similar to digital signature, but it's to process signing of a software.
And is it applicable for Android apps?
Yes. It is applicable for anything which gets transferred or downloaded through a site. It is applicable to all.
And in password-based authentication system, basically you have told that multi-factor-based authentication is very strong with respect to our single knowledge-based authentication system.
Right.
And there is another authentication system. They told that it is a multi-layer authentication system.
Yeah.
So how they are related? Multi-factor-based authentication and multi-factor-based authentication.
So, see, multi-layer normally can have different set of, for example, it is said that there are 3 layers. So, one layer is what you have with you. For example, a physical token. Okay. The second layer is what you know. That means a password. So these two are used. So you have a mobile phone, you get a code, you authenticate, and then you put a password. So this is 2-layer authentication. And third one is your biometric. So what you have, what others cannot replicate. Now in the biometric, we use multi-factor authentication in the sense that we use 2 biometrics. Because this fingerprint can be forged, quite common. So even if you see Aadhaar uses fingerprint and iris. Two of these biometrics. Replicating iris is extremely difficult. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. I think there is another question.
Yeah.
Raised by one of our participants.
Yeah. So what is the question?
The question is, what challenges arise in mobile forensics related to encryption and device locking?
Okay. So in general, you know that Apple phones are strictly user friendly, and they won't let you under any circumstances, until and unless there is a legal requirement, they won't let you extract the information. These phones are normally locked by biometrics, either your face or by your fingerprint or some digital code. So, whereas in Android-based devices, it is slightly easier because the number of layers used for security are not that extreme as in Apple phones. Android-based device forensics are slightly easier. There are certain tools for those, and even if the user does not expose the password, there are ways to go back to the normal configuration and then extract data. But for Apple phones, it's really difficult. We also know that when there was an explosion, a terrorist attack in the US, so the US government itself could not decrypt the data and extract the message. It had to consult some other countries to do that.
Okay, thank you. So I think no more question from our audience.
Right. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
For being here as a speaker, even by managing your tight schedule. And we are really very much lucky to have you as a speaker. And we will share your certificate, soft copy of the certificate through email or WhatsApp. And whatever other formalities, I will contact you personally, sir. And thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you all for patient listening in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are moving for second session of second day. This session will be delivered by Dr. Shangram Ray, Associate Professor, National Institute of Technology, Sikkim. And his topic is latest security challenges and solutions in IoT networks. I hope Dr. Shangram Ray is already in this meet. Shangram, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay. So, about Shangram, Dr. Shangram Ray is an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Sikkim, India. He has more than 15 years of teaching and research experience and more than 10 years of administrative experience in various capacities, including Dean, Head of the Department, Member of Board of Governors, Member of Senate, Faculty in charge of Training and Placement Cell, Faculty in charge of ICT Infrastructure, Faculty in charge of Alumni Affairs, etc. He has obtained MTech and PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, formerly known as Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, India. His research area includes cryptography and information security, elliptic curve cryptography, content-centric network, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, blockchain technology, etc. 5 candidates have been awarded PhD degree in computer science and engineering, and 1 postdoctoral fellow has completed her tenure under his sole supervision. At present, he is supervising 5 PhD candidates as a sole supervisor and 2 PhD candidates as a joint supervisor. He has published more than 70 research papers in HCI Index international journals, conference of report, book chapters, etc., and delivered around 50 keynote lectures. As expert in international or national conferences, workshops, seminars, faculty development programs, and short-term courses. Dr. Ray has acted as the member of advisory committee, technical committee, program committee, session chairs, etc. in more than 100 international national conference, seminars, workshops. He is a reviewer of around 40 international and national journals published by IEEE, Springer, Elsevier, Wiley, CSI, IED, MDPI, Harvard, etc. He has been granted external funding of more than 1.5 crore INR for research and development projects, MDPs, etc. Currently, he is the chief investigator tool of one R&D project costing of rupees 70 lakhs, funded by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, and co-PI of another R&D project costing of rupees 30 lakhs, funded by the IBITF, DST, Government of India. He is also actively involved in the external experts or reviewer of MTech and PhD thesis evaluation of reputed institutes or universities. He is a fellow of IIT, senior member of IEEE, member of SCM, and live member of CSI, ISTE, ISCA, IEI, IAENG, IACSIT, and chapter leader of CSTA India. He is also the editorial board member of international journals such as Discover Computing by Springer, Scientific Reports by Nature. And today, his topic is latest security challenges and solutions in IoT networks. So I would like to request all the participants to engage actively and just ask questions and share your own experience to make the sessions more interactive and more interesting. Now, over to Dr. Ray. Please start your session.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice introduction. I hope that participants will be very active in my session. Let me start my session. Share screen. Continue. Is it visible, sir?
No, sir.
No, no, PPT is not visible.
So now?
Yes, yes, now it is visible.
Okay. So, good evening, participants. Already you had a brainstorming session. Just few minutes I have also listened. So, in addition to that, the cybersecurity concepts, here I wish to give you some overview on the latest security challenges and the probable solutions to defend several existing security attacks on our existing IoT networks. You know, nowadays IoT is very common, and we have several application specific domain of IoT, such as IOMT, IoAT for agriculture, IIoT for industrial Internet of Things. So here I just have wish to uh, just elaborate on the possible security threats or attacks on IoT network and some possible lightweight solution to defend those attacks. So here I have just summarized some IoT attack vectors and then IoT threat identification. And to defend those threats, several IoT threat model will be shown. And then the existing IoT security architecture to defend those attacks. And the most important thing is that the current IoT security solutions. So first thing we have to know, uh,
Sir,
one of the participant, please,
sir, please
one of the
show your
participant,
screen on the
please
screen.
mute your microphone. Yeah, thank you. So IoT networks are much prone to various security attacks due to diversity of the connected devices because we are locating IoT sensor devices in several remote locations, and those sensor devices are responsible to collect those data. So diversity of locations is there, and multitude of communications protocols that is also a factor, and various interfaces and services offered by the IoT specific different application area. So obviously, so due to these issues, so IoT will have several limitations because as the number of connected devices will increases, the risk of vulnerabilities and data breaches also increases. And IoT is a large network, so so many devices will be connected and will communicating or transmitting the data at a time. So if any attack is possible, so that can quickly escalate to all the networks of that IoT. And that's why whatever the existing security strategies, those are not sufficient enough to guarantee the basic security level in the IoT devices due to these devices have several resource constraints. You know that low computing power, low battery capacity, etc. So to formulate all those kinds of possible attacks and special attention to IoT attack. So there are some attack vectors have been considered where these very vector are gaining access to IoT devices because there are several issues on that authentication and authorizations of that devices. And there are several insufficient security configurability because these are there is some hardcode credentials is required for the authentication purposes, as you know, and that will depends on different IoT devices. And at the same time, poor physical security is another attack vector caused by the vulnerability in the hardware because since these devices are located in several remote areas, and at the same time the insecure web and cloud interfaces are also the vulnerabilities that is also an attack vector in IoT system in the application layer. Next, threat identification. So, how to identify the threat? So, there are several research already have been going on, and whatever we have found that telnet connected IoT devices such as digital video recorders, IP cameras, routers, TV receivers, heat pumps, and others. These are the main prone to the threat, and this is due to the insecure communications channel between this the IoT node and the gateway and server. And there are several credentials are there to control those attacks. Now it's
Yes.
okay?
Yes. Now it's okay. Thank you.
Yes. So, uh, so security threats and second one is the security requirement. So these are the possible security threats in the context where uh, possible attacks may be considered as the eavesdropping, impersonations, man in the middle attack, denial of service attacks, stolen marked devices attack, and parallel session attacks. So these I will briefly describe in next slides. And some security requirements are mutual authentication, confidentiality, anonymity, availability, and forward secrecy. So, as I already mentioned, that eavesdropping, I am not sure about that the earlier session have covered it or not, but just brief overview I am giving here. It's referred to the process of listening to an ongoing communication through the communication channel. It is an initial step for launching the other attacks. Such attacks are easier to perform on unprotected, open, and insecure wireless channel. Since IoT devices are normally kept in the remote locations, so there is a huge possibilities on eavesdropping attack. Next one, very important, is that the impersonation attack. If an attacker tries to pretend himself as a legal entity to the other communicating parties of the conversation using some of the private information of the legitimate entity, means the secret credentials of the legitimate nodes or users has been taken, and that is used for communications to show the attacker or to represent the attacker as the genuine user. So it's particularly easy to launch and can cause the significant damage to the network performance. Next is very common man in the middle attacks. It occurs when the advisory silently listen to the communications of two legal parties with the intention to modify or delete legal messages exchanged during communications. So basically, what happened? In public key crypto system, the advisory does not try to break the keys of the communicating parties. Rather, it tries to become the falsely trusted man in the middle. So what happened between two users? The one attacker comes and represents himself that the agent, the other one. So what happened? The sender is sending what about the information? So instead of allowing to reach that the receiver, the attacker takes that the informations and responds to the sender. And at the same time, since the receiver is also waiting to get some information from the sender, the attacker on behalf of the sender sending some informations for his benefit to the receiver. So receiver thinks that he is getting the communications or messages from the sender, and at the same time, sender is also thinking that he is getting the responses from the genuine receiver. But on actual, the instead of setting up the communication channel between the sender and the receiver, the communication channel has been set up between the sender and attacker and the attacker and the receiver. So whatever the message will be communicated between the sender and the receiver, so the man in the middle attacker will have the access of each and every messages. But that can be remain unidentified since or if that the attacker is not modifying the message. It's just deciphering it. It's just saying that the message and again enciphering with the negotiated key with the receiver. So if there is no modification of the message is there, then it is very hard to detect. Next is the denial of service attacks. You know, it's normally hampers the IoT systems. It's disturb the availability of the services offered by the system. And in this attack, the illegal entity consumes the resources exhaustively, making the system unavailable to the legal entities. And this attack is generally achieved by launching resource consuming activities, and it's become vital for constant devices in IoT network where the resources are already limited. Since the resources are already limited, again you are just giving the extra burden to the networks. So obviously it will exhaust its the limit and it will stop to response. Other one is the stolen smart device attacks, or the user smart device or that the sensors nodes device is its information is getting accessed by through any kinds of the power analysis or these kinds of things. So if that device is in hand of the attacker, so it can easily get access of that credentials informations or that the past information exchange between the server to that node. Other one is the parallel session attack. In this attack, the legitimate entity might start multiple parallel runs of the protocol using information captured from the initial successful runs of the protocol, where the intruder starts new runs of the protocol using the knowledge gathered from the initial runs of the protocol. So whatever the earlier communication has been made, the information has been kept, and later that information has been used fairly in that communication scenario. And other important attacks are the privilege insider attack, node bypassing attack, password change attack, offline password guessing attack, stolen verifier attack, and non-session specific temporary information attack. So these are the very common attacks in the IoT scenario. Now to defend those attacks, we have the several security mechanism. Very important is that the mutual authentications. Why is it required? Now, whenever a device or a sensor nodes is joining to an IoT systems or IoT networks, so it must have to be registered at first to that server, and some credentials will be negotiated, secret credentials, and using that secret credentials, it have to be joined to the networks. So here in that case, the two-way authentication process are used where both parties involved in a communications to authenticate each other. So it's basically the very most crucial requirement for IoT authentication for securing to establish securing communications. And in this case, a connection can occur only when the clients trust the server's digital certificate and the server trusts the client certificates. You know, in whenever that initial authentication has been performed, the senders and receiver means that the IoT node and the servers are exchanging their public key certificates. Public key certificate is digital certificates, and it contains that the user identity and user's public key. Means it proves that the genuineness of the user. So each and every device or system should have that the public key certificates. And whenever the initial authentications process has been started, so at that time, both devices are exchanging their certificate at first, and from their certificates, the authenticity of the users are getting verified, and After that, the further exchange of the key materials or secret informations have been performed. Next thing is that the confidentiality. Before mutual authentication, I just wish to elaborate that there are possibilities of three phase of authentications. As you heard in the last session also, that it's called normally one-factor authentication, two-factor authentications, and three-factor authentication, and further it is also the multi-factor authentications. So basically, this is categorized based on that what user has, means something user has. So that is basically that the one-factor authentication, something user has. Maybe that the smart card, maybe your identity card. Whenever you are entering in your office, you are showing your identity card. So that is that the something user has. Second thing is that user knows. User knows some secret credentials, maybe the password, maybe the PIN. So that could be considered as that second factor. So whenever the first factor and second factor both are used, then it's called that the two-factor authentication process. And next thing is that the three-factor. So whenever the user, in addition to these two, something user representing himself. So that is should obviously should be the some kinds of biometric informations. So whenever these three will be applied, then it will be called that the three-factor authentication. In addition to that, if that the number of biometric factors are increased, then that can be the number of factors could be increased, and the number of level of factor-wise authentications will also increased. So these are the mutual authentication process, and this is the very crucial whenever some devices are communicating to the networks, or whenever any users are entering to the system to access the data. Next thing is that the confidentiality. So basically, the confidentiality is one of the security goal of in cybersecurity domain. So basically, it's called that the CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality is basically provides that the security to the content whenever it is getting exchanged between devices. So whenever the information is getting exchanged, so that is converted to the ciphertext using some kinds of encryption algorithms, and that ciphertext is received at the receiver's end in confidential way, and the receivers will apply his secret information to decipher the content and get the content. So what is the benefits here? The benefit is that since that our communications channel is open, so it's open to and accessible to all. So no one can understand the content.